bhuvi Nistatmiya param varapradaguro vairagya bhagyo tasau vedantam tasaravantamanagate Shri Srinivasat Guroho Shri Shailanmekosthavasya tanayam Shreyo Nidhe Shri Nidhe Vande Sadhu Katakshakelilayam Shri Krishna Sadeshikam Shri Narayana Yogindra Varadari Kripashrayam Rangeshapadavinatam Srinivasa Munim Bhaje Vyasam Vasishthanaptaram Jagtev Pautram Kalmasham Parasharatmajam Vande Sukatatham Taponidhim Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grasthitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambadvam Sandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsajanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha Shri rAmAnuja Gita Offering my pranamams to all the Bhagavatas in this Satsanga, I shall resume the next session. Now we have to study the Shloka 26 of the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So till now, if you look at the Shlokas, which how Krishna has taken the line of what all he has taught Arjuna, that there is a Atma, a soul, which is different from the body, and if you understand that and if you know that, then you will not have any shoka. So there will be no grief. So he told that starting from Gatasu Nagatasu Nanushocanti Panditaha, that is the sutra for this entire Upadesha. And he started Natvevaham Jatunasam Dehinosmin Yatha Dehe. So telling the most wonderful nature of the Atman, how it is eternal, how it is real and unchanging all the time, and the body, nature of the body which is changing all the time. And so because of that, whether something is already almost all the time changing, it cannot be avoided and you cannot have grief on account of that. And something which is Ekarupa all the time remains unchanged in Swarupa and it is eternal and all these. So Veda Avinashinam Nityam Yenam Ajamovyam Ajo Nitya Shashvatoyam Puranaha and things like that. Nainam Chintanti Shastrani. All these things he told the most beautiful, wonderful nature of Atman, Avyaktoyam, Achintyoyam, Avikaryoyam Uchyate and all that. So if you know that there is an Atman who exists, who is different and distinct from the body, there is no scope for grief. Now Krishna takes a very interesting argument. The main purpose is to remove the shoka of Arjuna and make him do his ordained duties. So the next shloka, let's take up the next shloka for study. How Krishna takes a different line of argument and he puts up different thoughts and he teaches Arjuna various things about creation and things like that. Atha chainam nityajatam nityam va manyase mritam tathapi tvam mahabaho naiva shochitam arhasi. Atha chainam nityajatam nityam va manyase mritam tathapi tvam mahabaho naiva shochitam arhasi. In this shloka, atha cha manyase yenam nityajatam va nityamritam tathapi mahabaho tvam evam shochitum narhasi. Athacha manyase. In another way, if you think that yenam, that is this Atman, nityajatam, Atman itself is the body. Atha manyase yenam nityajatam. The body which has a birth in a very established or definite way, that is in a va nityamritam, or it has destruction in a defined specific way. Tathapi, even then Mahabaho, hey valiant Arjuna, tvam evam shochitum narhasi. You should not grieve like this, in this way. So Bhashya for this is Atha nityajatam nityamritam deham eva yenam atmanam manushe. Deham eva atmanam manushe. Even if you think that Atman is not different and distinct from the body, but the body itself is the Atman. Na dehatiriktam uttalakshanam. He is not different from the body. What already has been told, avyaktoyam, achintyoyam, dehinosmi nita dehe, and all those things. Tatapi, even in that case, evam atimatram shochitum narhasi. There is no place for the shoka that you are having here. Because parinama svabhavasya dehasya utpatti vinashayoho avarjaniyatvat. The body, which is all the time undergoing changes, and for that, creation, destruction, etc., cannot be avoided at all. So you think from that point of view that something cannot be avoided, we have no control on that, it has to happen. So even if you think that that body itself is the Atman, even then you should not have shoka, is what Krishna is teaching here. So athacha, here he starts, athacha, the word atha, shows that so far whatever has been taught, that if one accepts that Atman is different and distinct from the body, then one should not have grief on that account. Now, from the Nastika Drishti, that is, Astikas are one who believe in the existence of the Atman. Nastikas are those who think that body itself is the Atman. Atman does not exist, is not different from the body, but body itself is the Atman. That is Nastika Drishti. So, from the Nastika Drishti, Krishna has started arguing here. Even in that case, there is no scope for grief. He is being told in this and the next two shlokas. These three shlokas form one unit, where the Nastika Drishti is being told by Krishna. Atha indicates Krishna is starting another view, Atha, or that it may be in the sense of questioning. Even if you think like that, then also you should not have grief. This is called Anvaruhya Vada. That is, this is one way of teaching, even found in the Vedas or Brahma Sutras, and even our Purvacharya's works, all the works we can say in Sri Bhashya and all these things, in the works we can see that many places our Acharyas take up what is known as Anvaruhya Vada. That is, following the path of argument given by the opponent, that is a Purvapakshi, and then finally coming to the conclusion and then establishing the Siddhanta. This is one way of teaching. So let us assume that what you are saying only is true, or what you are thinking only is true, and then examine. So if you say that I cannot see an Atman who is different from the body, and how do you know? Even if you say like that, even if you think body itself is the Atman, let us take that line of argument and see why you should not have, even in that case you should not have grief. So that is a kind of argument. That's called Anvaruhya Vada here. So the Charvakas say that body is the Atman, and they are starting to argue, assuming body only is the Atman, and then coming to the Siddhanta, eliminating the causes of concern and all that. So the first thing that Krishna wants to do is to tell Arjuna that there is no reason for shoka. So if you leave that shoka, then you can really think and then see what is the right thing and then understand and act in the right way. So that is what, even if he goes by the what Charvakas say, then also he should not have grief. So he is so much concerned about removing the grief of Arjuna, and through him as a pretext, he is removing the shoka of all the Chetanas, that he even resorts to Anvaruhya Vada. So Bhashyakara, what he told about Lord Krishna in the very beginning, Jagad Upakriti Martyaha, that great guna of Lord Krishna we can see throughout the Shastra, Jagad Upakriti Martyaha, that great guna of Bhagavan, that he is so much concerned about removing the grief of Arjuna and all the Chetanas, that he puts forward all these kinds of arguments to convince Arjuna that he should not have grief, and what is the right thing that he is supposed to do, and what is Tattva Jnanopadesha through that. So the word Va here also is giving some Muchaya Artha, that is meaning combining the two attributes of Nityajata and Nityamrita. So normally Va is used in different senses. It's not the meaning of either here, but it's the meaning of and. Atachainam nityajatam nityam va manyase mritam. Va nityamritam. Nityajatam va nityamritam. That is in the Samuchaya Artha, it has to be taken here in the meaning of and. So nityajatam nityamritam is especially explained by Bhashyakara according to the context here. Nityam means niyata, nityajatam, nityamritam. The meaning of nitya here, when it is associated with jata and mrita, has to be taken as niyata utpatti nasham. That is, this is also explained in the next shloka, jatasya dhruva mrityu. So something which is niyata utpatti nasham, it is definite and sure to happen, and it happens in a particular way, well known or orderly way, and it is definitely going to happen. So that is the meaning as per the Bhashya, and it does not mean here, nitya does not mean eternal, because that which is nitya or eternal cannot be born and cannot die. So it is talking about jatam and mritam here, and nitya jatam, nitya word is associated with jatam and mritam. So the meaning of nitya has to be taken as niyata utpatti nasham. Nitya jatam means niyata utpatti, that which has, and nitya mritam is niyata nasha, that is in a well established known way. So that is the nature of the nature of birth and death cannot be qualified by nitya. So that the meaning has to be taken according to the Bhashya in that sense. So nitya jatam nityamritam dehameva evam atmanam manushe na dehatiriktam uktalakshanam. Deham is making clear that nitya jata and nityamrita are qualifying deha and not atman here. So nitya jatam nityamritam deham. That is the meaning that we have to understand. That's why, just like nitya jatam, the aspect of nityamritam is also told specifically. Dehameva atmanam manushe. If you think this body only is atman, and atman is not dehatiriktam, na dehatiriktam uktalakshanam, is not something different from the body as told and established earlier. Tathapi evam atimatram shoshitum narhasi. Even then you should not grieve. So earlier it was taught that atman does not get destroyed at all, and hence you should not have shoka. Now even if you think body is the atman, you should not have grief, because if atman is body only, then as the body is anitya, atman also becomes anitya, and it becomes avarjaniya, that anyway it gets destroyed. So why should you have shoka on account of that? So that which is ordained to get destroyed will anyway get destroyed, and why shoka for that is the bhava here. That is what is the meaning. So the purpose of such an argument should be kept in mind, that it is first to convince Arjuna that whatever one thinks or knows, shoka cannot be there. So that is what is conveyed by evam here, evam manusya. Tatapi evam atimatram shochitum narhasi. Because parinama svabhavasya dehasya utpatti vinashayoho avarjaniyatvat. So as told earlier, if atman who is different from the body is accepted, then there can be a fear of paraloka, etc., that I may get some other lower, inferior loka, and etc., and it can lead to some grief. But Krishna is as though he is telling that if you think body itself is the atman, then as told that tannashaha, Charvaka says that deha eva bhavedatma tannashaha moksha iritaha. So if you the body, when you die, you will get liberated from samsara. So it should only cause happiness to you, and why should you have any grief? So the Sambodhana Mahabaho shows here that he is valiant. You should not be scared of dying or killing others. And it is avarjaniya because it is parinama svabhavatvat. Deha is always undergoing changes, and hence utpatti and vinasha cannot be avoided. So even if you think body only is the atman, you should not grieve, is the implication here. So this is the Anvaruhyavada or Nasikavada done here by Lord Krishna. And how is it that it will definitely get destroyed or explained is being explained in the next shloka. So when you go to shloka 27, Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuho dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmat apariharye arte natvam shochituvarhasi. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuho dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmat apariharye arte na tvam shochitumarhasi. Jatasya, he, that which is created, mrityuhu, that is destruction of that state, is dhruvo, he, definite only, definite. And mritasya cha, in the same way, that which is destroyed, janma, dhruva, that is attaining another state, is definite. Tasmat, but for that reason, apariharye arte, in this aspect which is unavoidable, Tvam shochitum narhasi. You should not grieve. You should not have any shoka. So this shloka is a very important shloka, and you can see that there is a long bhashya for this shloka. The bhashya shows that it conveys a lot of meaning, this shloka, and it's a very important shloka. The bhashya is utpannasya vinasho dhruvaha avarjaniyaha upalabhyate tatha vinashtasya api janma avarjaniyam katham upalabhyate vinashtasya utpattihi iti sateva utpattipalabdhehe asatascha anupalabdhehe उत्पत्ति विनाशादयः सतः द्रव्यस्य अवस्था विशेषाः तन्तु प्रभृतीनि द्रव्याणि सन्ति एव रचना विशेषयुक्तानि पटादीनि उच्यन्ते असत्कार्यवादिनापि एतावदेव उपलभ्यते न हि तत्र तन्तु संस्थान विशेषातिरेकेण द्रव्यान्तरं प्रतीयते कारकव्यापार नामांतर भजन व्यवहार विशेषाणाम् एतावता एव उपपत्तेः न च द्रव्यांतर कल्पनायुक्ता अतः उत्पत्ति विनाशादयः सतो द्रव्यस्य अवस्था विशेषाः उत्पत्त्याख्याम् अवस्थाम् उपयातस्य द्रव्यस्य तद्विरोधी अवस्थान्तर प्राप्तिः विनाशः इति उच्यते मृद्द्रव्यस्य पिण्डत्व घटत्व कपालत्व चूर्णत्वादिवत् परिणामि द्रव्यस्य परिणाम परंपरा अवर्जनीया तत्र पूर्वावस्थस्य द्रव्यस्य उत्तरावस्था प्राप्तिः विनाशः सा एव तदवस्थस्य च उत्पत्तिः एवं उत्पत्ति विनाशाख्य परिणाम परंपरा परिणामिनो द्रव्यस्य अपरिहार्या इति न तत्र शोचितुम् अर्हसि. So it's a long bhashya where this is utpannasya vinasho dhruvaha avarjaniyaha upalabhyate. The meaning of jatasya is given as utpannasya here. So it is not just a particular aspect of a man being born or he dies and things like that. Here it's talking about creation and destruction in general. That is utpannasya. Jatasya is utpannasya, that which is created. This is to make it clear that the word dhruva, mrityu, janma are not to be interpreted in any other way. The word he in the shloka shows pramana prasiddhi utpannasya jatasya hi dhruvaha jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu. The he shows prasiddhi. It is well known that that which is created will get destroyed. That is so by valid means, that is he means it's a pramana prasiddhi, that is it's very well known through valid means, or it can be reason also, hetu. So whatever is created, utpannasya vinashaha dhruvaha. What is dhruvaha? The meaning in the bhashya is explained as avarjaniyaha upalabhyate. It means it cannot be avoided at all. It will definitely happen means it cannot be avoided. So tatha vinashtasya api janma avarjaniyam. In the same way, that which is destroyed also gets another state. Vinashtasya api janma avarjaniyam. That also cannot be avoided. So anything that is created will get destroyed. Anything that will get destroyed will get created. Means it will take different states. Katham idam upalabhyate. So Bhashikara puts a question: how can we know that? How can we get to know this? Vinashtasya utpattihi iti. That which is destroyed is again created. How can we even know about it? So in the above aspects of birth of something which is destroyed is to be taken only. So the objection here is kadamidam upalabhyate. That jatasya hi dhruvaha mrityu. That which is created will get destroyed. We can see in the world. We have seen it so many times. We can see so many things get destroyed and they disappear and things like that. But something which is destroyed, again it will be created. How is it possible to know this? So something which is destroyed is whether the birth of something which is destroyed, if it is only for the sake of purposes of upadesha, it is okay. But in the shloka it says jatasya hi is told. That is, it is meant that it is well known in this world. It is well known. Prasiddhi. Jatasya hi dhruvom. It is well known. Prasiddhi is showing. So the objection is we do not see it in that way in the world. What we see that anything that is born is created did not exist earlier. So if a pot is created, for example, we never see the pot before it is created. Or a cloth is created, it is not created, did not exist earlier. We don't see it existing. So we do not see the existence of something which is created earlier to it. A man is born, Devadatta is born. We have not seen him existing earlier. So, Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuho, dhruvam janma mritasya cha. He is prasiddhi. If it is well known through pramanas, we do not see it in this world at all like that. How is it possible to know this? So, if something which is lost, and again another objection is something which is lost is again created, then also, it may not be a very good thing to happen, because the dukkha can never get rid of. We can never get rid of any grief, because the grief is which has gone. Again, if it is going to come, then it's not a very good thing. So the Shastras teach liberation, etc. It may become useless. Similarly, treating a disease or fighting an enemy will all become wasted efforts. So even when there's a putra or somebody die, it would mean that one should not lament. So this meaning of utpannasya vinashaha dhruvaha, vinashtasya janma avarjaniyam is not proper, is the objection here. Katham idam upalabhyate. By that, we can understand that these are all the objections which are going to be answered here. And the objection also is that if something exists, why should it again be created? If he says, Jatasya hi dhruva mrityu, dhruvam janma mritasya cha. Dhruvam janma mritasya cha. If something which is existing is only created, why should it be created if it already exists? That is also a question that we get. So creation will make sense for something which does not exist, as we see in this world. That pot and other things did not exist or created. For this objection, the answer is given in the Bhashya. The shloka has got a lot of meaning. The Bhashya explains to us all the inner meanings of this shloka. Satayeva utpatti upalabdhehe asatascha anupalabdhehe utpatti vinashadayaha sato dravyasya avastha visheshaha tantu pravritini dravyani santyeva rachana visheshayuktani patadini uchyante. Satayeva utpatti upalabdhehe. That is, the creation can happen only for something which existed. Asatascha anupalabdhehe. That which does not exist, which cannot be created. So, utpatti vinashadayaha sataha dravyasya avastha visheshaha. A substance which is existing takes different states. That is only called utpatti and vinasha. The different states of an object, a substance which exists, only are called utpatti and vinasha, which can see with an example here. Tantu prabhritini dravyani, thread and other things. Tantu is thread. Thread and other things, the substances, because they exist, rachana vishesha yuktani, they are put in a particular pattern with warp and woof and all those things. They are called patadini uchyante. They are called shirt or things like that. So various dresses and clothes that we see, they are different arrangements of the thread which is existing. So it cannot be created from a substance which did not exist. That is the meaning. This is called Satkarya Vada. So this shloka is actually, according to Bhashyakara, establishing Satkarya Vada. That is, what is Pratyaksha is that for one who is born, death is sure. But if you say that for one who has got destroyed, again getting created is sure, how can that be known? So for this we need to examine very carefully what is creation and destruction. The Bhashyakara is given a very clear explanation of that. Can something be created out of nothing? That means innumerable new things will keep getting created all the time. If something can be created out of nothing, anything can be created anytime, but that is not the case. Nobody can create something out of nothing. That is what we actually see if we examine very carefully. So without a source substance, something cannot be created. So to create a pot, mud is required. To create a cloth, thread is required. So to create an ornament, gold is required. So the source materials such as mud or thread or board, etc. are all just assuming or taking different states in the process of creation. This means an object will be in some state. When it gets into another state, that's called creation. When it leaves the present state to get the other state, the present state is destroyed, and this is called destruction. So the Mula Dravya, source substance, has to be same, the Upadana it's called. So without a Mula Dravya, something cannot be created. So this is seen in Upanishads in great detail. In Chandogya Upanishad, Uddalaka teaches Shvetaketu in the Sadvidya Prakarana. Shvetaketu wants to know how everything can be known by knowing one. Ekavijnanena sarva vijnanam. So Uddalaka says that if you know the cause, the effects can be known. Just as if you know mud, everything made of mud can be known, because mritiketyeva satyam. Ekena mritpindena sarvam mrunmayam vijnatam syat, he says. So Uddalaka asks Shvetaketu. So Shvetaketu does not understand how it is possible. So he shows him with a practical experiment. So he asks him to bring a negrodha fruit, a fruit of that negrodha tree. Then he asks him to break it. So Uddalaka asks him, what do you see now? He says, lots of small seeds I see. And he says, Uddalaka says, take one seed and break it. He says, so what do you see now? So he says, I don't see anything. So say the Acharya Uddalaka says, in that subtle thing which cannot be seen, this huge negrodha tree is born. So that which you say is so subtle that it is not even seen, is only existing as this huge tree here, says Uddalaka. The tree existed in an avyakta state earlier within the seed. So similar to that, for this world to be created, a mula dravya is needed. This is called as mula prakriti or avyakta, which is very sukshma, which cannot be seen. From that mula prakriti, the whole world is created, when Paramatma being the antaryami of all this. So that is a nitya tattva, the mula prakriti also. From that only everything which is achetana is created. So, but the mula prakriti being achetana cannot transform itself by itself. So because it has Brahman as the Atma and it is controlled by Brahman, it gets transformed. So it is Chetana Adhisthana is a must. A mula prakriti which is inert by itself cannot change states. It has to be having a Chetana as the Adhisthana, that is the controller. So it is also Brahmatmaka, it undergoes change in its essential nature to become Mahat, Ahankara, etc. And then the five elements are created, and then all the things such as ocean, mountain, and all these things, trees, etc. This is called Satkarya Vada. So for the trees and oceans, etc. to be created, there is a Mula Dravya that is required. The Dravya of Panchabhutas is required. For Panchabhutas, the Tanmatras are required. For the Tanmatras, the Ahankara Tattva is required, the Dravya. For the Mahat, then for that Mahat is required. For that Mahat, Mula Prakriti is required. So if you see, there is a source substance for every state. So all these are created from a source substance. And which is the ultimate source is called the Mula Prakriti. It's called Avyakta, which is Nitya. It's all the time existing. It is eternal. So the Mula Prakriti exists forever, and it is not created, but it is a Nitya Tattva. So one most fundamental source material has to exist all the time, because the relationship of Karya Karana is not possible otherwise. So all these are ultimately the effects of Mula Prakriti only, but in multiple phases and multiple states. And this is as per our Bhashya. This Karya exists in Karana. The effect exists in the cause. Karya exists in the Karana. Pot is created from mud. Without mud, pot cannot be created. That is called Ananyatva. Karya Karana Yoho Ananyatvam. Tad Ananyatvam Arambana Shabdadibhyaha is told in Brahma Sutras and in the Upanishads. So mud only takes a different state, and that is called pot is created. And we say, how can one which did not exist at all can be created from nothing? It is not possible. Existence can come out of existence. Existence cannot come out of non-existence. That is our Bhashya. This is called Satkaryavada. So here the Nayayikas, the logicians, ask that the pot was not existing earlier. They say that Karya is created newly, that it did not exist at all earlier, because the time there is a difference. That cause existed earlier, the effect is existing later. That is, Karana was first there, Karya comes into effect later, into picture later. And they are called different by different names. They are known as being different. Nobody will think that mud itself is the pot. So the thinking is different, name is different, the usage is different. You cannot bring water from a pound of mud, so you have to have a pot. So because of all these differences, they say that effect did not exist in the cause. That is, Karya did not exist in the Karana. This is called Asatkarya Vada. the logicians or the Nayayikas, what they say is Asat Karyavada. Karya did not exist in Karana. So we say that that is not possible and we do not accept that, and Bhashyakara has established in great detail that Satkaryavada. Then as per the Pramanas, if you see the valid means, we will know that Satkaryavada is only possible. So anything can be created from, if it is not that Karya did not exist in the Karana, anything can be created from anything else, which because it did not exist earlier and it is newly created. We do not see like that. If you take a mango seed, only a mango tree can be created from that. You cannot create a neem tree from the mango seed. It does not happen. So there is a definite relationship between Karya and Karana, that Karya exists in the Karana. This is called Satkaryavada. This is also established in Brahma Sutras, etc. And the Arambana Shabdadibhya Tad Ananyatvam and other sutras are establishing the Satkaryavada in great detail. So there is also another Vada called Asat Karana Vada. That is, Karana itself did not exist. So that is by Buddhists say that, and even Charvakas, etc. So no cause, but there is effect. So the Buddhas accept this, that creatio ex nihilo, they call it. So creation from nothing, shunya. This is against the Vedas and we do not accept this. And without a Karana, Karya cannot exist. So Vedanta says Satkaryavada, and because that Asatkaryavada or Asatkaranavada are all refuted by in this particular shloka where Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuho, dhruvam janma mritasya cha. So Sukshma Chidachid Vishishta Brahman only becomes Sthula Chidachid Vishishta Brahma. That is called creation. That is this. All these existed earlier. That is Ekameva Advitiyam. When he says that Sadeva Somya Idam Agra Asid. Idam is pointing to the entire world. This entire world Idam Agre Sadeva Asit. That means this whole world existed earlier also as Sat Shabdavachya Paramatma, in the sense that it was existing in a Sukshma, subtle form as the body of Paramatman, the Sharira Shariri Bhava, there we say. So Sukshma Chidachid Vishishta Brahma existed. The Sukshma Chidachid, in that the Chetana part does not undergo any changes in the Swarupa, but there is only change in the Swabhava, that is Dharmabhuta Jnana. The Achetana undergoes change in the Swarupa itself and becomes Sthula. So the Avyakta, that is Mula Prakriti, gets into different states and becomes Panchabhutas, and then the Bhautika Padarthas are all created. And we see all these big things that we are pratyaksha to us, all the trees or the oceans, the mountains and everything else. So there is a Mula Dravya that always existed. From this only it can be created. So Uttaravastha coming is the Karya. Purvavastha going is the destruction. The disappearance, the going of the previous state is called destruction. The coming of the next state, Uttaravastha, is called Karya. So some same substance is seen in different states. This is the Karya, Karana, Bhava, and this is Satkaryavada. And when you say a man is born, etc., what was he before? Was he existing? So there are other questions which come into the picture here. A man, for example, a man is born. So did he exist before? We get a doubt. So if he did not exist, he could not have been born. So he must have existed in some state. Creation cannot be done from nothing. So here the Atman, which is Nitya Tattva, always exists, and body, which is made of 5 elements, is created when the Panchabhutas, Ahankara Tattva, etc. get modified and take the form of the body and sense organs, and Atman comes into contact with it. Atman, who has a subtle body, Sukshma Sharira, exists all the time, and his Sukshma Sharira changes to Sthula form and becomes seen as man or Deva, trees, animals, etc. etc. So when he gets liberated, of course, he leaves the body forever and he will be there in Paramapada. So this is, we are talking about everything that is a subject of creation, that is whatever is the topic under creation. So the body and the sense organs, etc., were all existing in some Sukshma form, and they became Sthula. But they keep undergoing change all the time, where the Atman remains unchanged. but he is Ekarupa. So existence can come from existence is what is. So Bhashyakara makes it very clear. Asatkaryavadinapi etavadeva upalabhyate. Even if you accept Asatkaryavada, you have to accept this much only, that the avayavi, which is created from avayavas, that is, avayavi is the whole, avayavas is the parts. From the parts, a whole is created of the body. So we have hand, leg, etc., various parts, avayavas. Avayavi is a whole which is consisting of and all the parts, that is the entire. So it is nothing but Rachana Vishesha Yuktatva Matram, which is very clear here. So the Nayayikas who are Asatkaryavadis say that Avayavi, which is made of Avayavas, is different and newly created. That is, when the parts are joined together and a whole comes into the effect, that is a Karya. It is newly created, they say. But we say that it is only Rachana Vishesha Yuktatva Matra. It is a different arrangement of the same, different state of the same thing. So that is not. So the Bhashyakara says very clearly, Upalabhyate means that which is seen very clearly, that the body made of hand, leg, etc. is one with the avayavas and is not a different padartha than the parts. Avayavi is not a different dravya than the avayavas. Avayavi is made of avayavas and it is the same padartha existing in a different state. All put together is called the body. So this is what we say and think in our minds, and we do not think that body is different from the parts or use it in that way in practice, etc. Nahi tatra tantu samsthana vishesha atirekena dravyantaram pratiyate. We do not see anything different from the combination of threads forming a shape as a cloth. So this is not a new substance altogether, and it is the same thread in a different shape and form. So this is the Satkaryavada. Karaka Vyapara Namantara Bhajana Vyavahara Visheshanam Etavata Eva Upapattehe. So now Bhashyakara answers the objections of Nayayikas that Karaka Vyapara Namantara Bhajana. Karaka Vyapara is the process of creation, the act of creation. That is where effect is created. Namantara Bhajana means getting a different name, and Vyavahara, that is different use, different usage, etc. All these Visheshas also, this is the same thing. Etavata eva upapattehe. You have to explain. You can explain only if you accept Satkaryavada. So Nayayika say that Karya is different because it is Karaka Vyapara is there. There is a process of creation. So if Karya exists in the Karana, what is the meaning of creation? Then why should it be even created? Why should it take a different name? Namantara Bhajana. That is Karya getting a different name than Karana. Vyavahara Vishesha, that is usage is different. That is, a thread cannot be worn like a shirt, or mud cannot be taken to get water, etc. So the use of cause and the effect are very different. So all these things, Bhashyakara says, even if all these are true, it does not affect the fact that Karya is not different from Karana, because the basic substance is the same. The school of So here we have to also observe that school of Sankhyas, their Vada is also called Satkaryavada only. They also accept Satkaryavada, but there is a difference between the Satkaryavada propounded by Sankhyas and Satkaryavada of our Siddhanta, Vishishtadvaita. The Sankhya says that Karya is present in all aspects in the Karana, including the shape of the pot, etc. Everything, nothing is newly created is what Sankhya say. So in that case, the Karaka Vyapara will be useless. But in our case, where we say substances are all present in both Karya and Karana, but the states are newly created. That is the Avastha Vishesha. The state is newly created. The pot getting a form or a name, etc. is newly created, but the base substance, that is the Dravya, Mula Dravya, is the mud only. That's what we say. So the shape did not exist earlier. So you cannot establish in that case that whatever can be made from mud, everything existed in the same form and in the same everything earlier is beyond anybody's. It cannot be established and by pramanas, etc. So we don't accept the Satkaryavada as per Sankhyas, but our Satkaryavada is different from the Satkaryavada propounded by Sankhyas, in the sense that the Avastha is newly created, whereas the Dravya is same. So avastha is agantuka, that it comes and goes. Agantuka, it comes, it goes, whereas the base substance is the same. So nacha dravyantara kalpana yukta. It's not proper to imagine that a new substance which did not exist is created in the process of creation. So even in the case of candle which gets burned, a subtle state is inferred, just as in the case of a pot which may go into powder state, etc. So there is no contradiction here. By these other objections raised by Nayayika, such as they say that Karya is different from Karana because there is difference in Sankhya, that is, number is different, mud is 101, parts can be many, and things like that. They are all, refuted by all these arguments. So there is different in our the understanding. They say that one does not call a pot as a mud, etc., and things like that. So all these things are answered through this nacha dravyantara kalpana yukta, the base substance being the same, it takes different states. So avastha visheshas are created, that is agantuka, whereas the dravya substance is same. Ataha utpatti vinashadayah sato dravyasya avastha visheshaha. This Bhashyakara is making very clear Satkaryavada here, that utpatti and vinasha, etc., are sataha dravyasya, a substance which is existing, its avastha visheshaha, its different states. So utpattiyakhyam avastham upayatasya dravyasya, a substance which has obtained a state called utpatti, tad virodhi avasthantara praptihi vinashaha. So a state which is different from that, which is opposed to that, getting into such a state is called the vinasha of that state. So mrudravyasya pindatva, ghatatva, kapalatva, churnatva adivat parinami dravyasya parinama parampara avarjaniya. A substance which is by nature undergoing changes. Parinami dravya it's called. That is the substance by nature is undergoing changes, like mud, mrudravyasya, pindatva, ghatatva, kapalatva, churnatva. So it's a mud, it was existing as a pound of mud, it became a pot, it got broken, it's called kapala, it became powder, it's called churna, and things like that. This parinama parampara, these states coming one after the other in sequence, is avarjaniya, it just cannot be avoided. Tatra purvavasthasya dravyasya uttaravastha praptihi vinashaha. The previous state, the substance which was in a previous state, getting into a later state, uttaravastha, is the destruction of the previous state and creation of the next subsequent state. So sa eva tadavasthasya cha utpatti. Evam utpatti vinashakhya parinama parampara parinamino dravyasya apariharya iti natatra shochitum arasi. Finally Krishna comes to the point that Arjuna should not have grief because of that, because that which is undergoing a sequence of changes, parampara, parinama parampara, series of changes, it is apariharya, it cannot be avoided for a substance which by nature is changing. So you cannot change the nature of this object. So concludes by stressing the Satkaryavada, that Tantu itself becomes cloth, mud itself becomes pot, Mula Dravya cannot be destroyed. So just as the Atma cannot be destroyed, Prakriti also cannot be fully destroyed. But Prakriti undergoes changes all the time and it cannot be avoided, while the Atman remains Ekarupa without any changes. So Karaka Vyapara, Namantara Bhajana, etc. is the same happening to the same Dravya, same substance. Name and form keep changing in each state. So it's not that a new substance is newly created. Utpatti, Vinasha are different states of the same Dravya. Vinasha is Nasha. Nasha Adarshane, it is told in Vyakarana. That is not being seen. Nasha Adarshane. That is not being seen is called Nasha according to Vyakarana. So Vastu getting different state than the present one is called Nasha. The present state disappears. We don't see the present state. So we don't see it as a pot when it becomes powder again. So that is called Nasha Adarshane. That is Nasha. So the present state is not being seen anymore. Mula Dravya gets into Pindatva, Ghatatva, Kapalatva, and that is a Parinama Parampara which is happening all the time. So there is no scope for Shoka. And any amount of thinking cannot be decided that a substance is not there. So Abhava, they say that Abhava is a Padartha according to the Nayayika. So we say that it cannot be established because an object is not seen at one time at one place. an object now, suppose there is a gata, a pot does not, we don't see a pot on a table here. So they say that there is gata abhava there. There is a padartha called the absence of a gata exists there, they say. We say that it is not true. It is only abhava is not being there, abhava padartha not being there is abhava. There is no separate padartha or anything called abhava. So that's what we say, that one place, if it is not there, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It can exist somewhere else. So these are all discussed here. So Satkaryavada is mainly propounded in this shloka, is what Bhashyakaras made it very clear in the Bhashya. And another aspect of creation is also examined now. If something is again created, what is the meaning of that? If a pot is destroyed and is created again, does it mean that the same pot is created again? The same body which an Atman leaves, does it come again to him? So, Jatasya dhruvo mrityuhu, dhruvam janma amritasya. Dhruvam janma amritasya means that which is destroyed. Janma is definite means if somebody dies, does the same body come to the person again? Is the question that naturally comes here. Whatever state is gone, does the same state come? He says that no, Gata avastha becomes Kapala avastha. Kapala avastha becomes Churna avastha. So Dhruvam Janma Mritasya cha means not that the same body is created again, because for that earlier state, what is known as Pradvamsa Bhava is present. That is, it gets destroyed and it remains destroyed like that. That state is gone. Another state comes into the picture. It gets into a different state. So it is not that the same state which was there earlier comes into the picture. That doesn't happen. And we have to remember that Dhruvam Janma Mritasya is for one who does not do sadhana anusthana for moksha. What is told here, Dhruvam Janma Mritasya cha, is for somebody who does not do sadhana anusthana. That is somebody who does moksha sadhana, bhakti yoga, prapatti, and gets liberated. For them there is no janma again here, contact into samsara itself is not there. For those who are not doing sadhana anusthana is what is being taught here. Those which are all coming under creation is what is being discussed here. So the connection is Prakriti is for whom is there, who still has some karma to be exhausted, etc. And another objection which can come here is that which is very nice. Let's say that now Krishna said you should not grieve because by nature it is changing, it is getting different states. So we say in this world, we say that there is a very nice object. If it gets destroyed, we feel very bad. We get grief on account of that. So is it not? Does it not lead to shoka? When something which is very nice thing that gets destroyed, if you say that it cannot be avoided, so we should not have grief. It's natural that we get grief because we have developed an attachment towards an object which is very nice. It gets destroyed, we get grief. So he says that in case of Prakritika Vastus, the destruction state is seen. Krishna Bhashya in the Tatparya Chandrika, Adeshika has given a very nice point here that suppose we see a very nice object which gets destroyed, we get shoka because we are seeing the destroyed state of that object here. So when we see the destroyed state of the object, that it is broken, there may be some scope for grief. But in case of Atman, do we see the next state? We don't see the next state at all. So we do not see that a new state when the present state is destroyed. So there is no scope for grief. That is being explained in the next shloka. That is shloka 28. Sataha dravyasya purvavastha virodhi avasthantara prapti darshanena yaha alpiyan shokaha saha api manushyadi bhuteshu nasambhavati ityaha. Now that objection is being answered in the next shloka. Sataha dravyasya, in a substance which is existing, purvavastha virodhi avasthantara prapti darshanena. That is the previous state getting destroyed and it is getting the next state, subsequent state. We are seeing that particular state here. Because of that, yaha alpiyan shokaha, there could be some grief because of that. Sopi manushyadi bhuteshu nasambhavati. It does not happen, even that small grief which may happen in the prakritika vastus which we see in this world. Because we are seeing the destroyed state of that, a broken pot, if you see, you may feel bad. But we don't see like that in case of an Atman. The next state is not at all seen. He is being told in the next shloka Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhananyeva tatra ka paridevana. That is being answered in the next sloka. Here in the respect of a dravya, attaining of a different state which is opposed to the present state may lead to some small grief. Alpiyan shokaha says, but that is also completely absent in respect of a Manusya and others, who are, because that is being told. That is, due to the well-established nature of each object, the preceding and succeeding states can cause happiness or grief because we see them in those respective states. When an ice pot is broken, etc., etc. But in respect of the Atman, who is seen as Manusya, Deva, etc., we do not see the succeeding state of the Atman. Hence, even that small grief cannot be there. That is being explained in Avyaktadini Bhutani Vyaktamadhyani Bharata Avyakta Nidhananyeva Tatraka Paridevana. Bharata, hey Arjuna, Bhutani, the bodies of the Manusya and others, Avyaktadini, Avyakta Adini, that is, they are having an earlier state which is not seen. Adi is earlier state. That state is avyakta, which is not seen. They are having a state, earlier state, which is not seen. Vyakta madhyani. Vyakta is that which is well expressed and seen. The in-between state, madhya state, is vyakta, is well seen. Avyakta nidhanani. That is the later state that after it is destroyed or somebody dies, it is again not seen. After death, the post-death state is also, post-destruction state is not seen. So, tatra ka paridevana. In that aspect, why should there be any shloka, any shoka? So, Manusyadi Bhutani, Santyeva Dravyani, Anupalabdha Purvavasthani, Upalabdha Manushyatwadi Madhyamavasthani, Anupalabdha Uttaravasthani, Sveshu Swabhaveshu Vartante iti Natatra Paridevana Nimittam Asti. This is, Bhashya is so clearly explaining. Avyaktadini Bhutani means Manusyadi Bhutani. Manusya and Bhuta is a Chetana which a body is called Bhuta. Any Chetana, a soul, an Atma with a body is called a Bhuta. Manusyadi Bhutani. That is Manusya, Deva, Sthavara, Jangama, anything it can be. Santyeva Dravyani, substances which are existing all the time. Anupalabdha Purvavasthani. The Purvavastha is Anupalabdha, that is, which is not known to us, which is not seen by us. Anupalabdha Purvavasthani. Upalabdha Manushyatwadi Madhyamavasthani. The Madhyamavastha is Manusya, Deva, etc., which is Upalabdhi, that is Upalabdha, that we are able to see. No. Anupalabdha Uttaravasthani. The Uttara later state is also not seen. So, Sveshu Swabhaveshu Vartante. They all remain in their states of either changing or unchanging, whatever it is. Iti natatra paridevana nimittamasti. There is no scope for any shoka there, is told here. Manusyadi Bhutani. The word Bhuta is an Atman with a body. Bhutam Sthavara Jangamam is told. So Atman with a body is called Bhuta. The words Avyakta and Vyakta are not just implying the state of Prakriti alone, but also also do not mean Sat and Brahma as told by Yadava Prakasha. That is being told in the Bhashya, that because it is out of context here. So in other Bhashyas they are interpreted differently. The Avyakta and Vyakta are told in differently, that they are only states of Prakriti, or it's a state of Sat, Brahma, etc., which is not where they say that one Brahman which existed became Chitya Ishvara. There is Sarupa Parinama which is told for Brahma in Yadava Prakasha Bhashya. We do not accept that. So here the Dehatma Viveka is being taught and not of Paramatma Swarupa, etc. So in Yadava Prakasha Siddhanta, the one Brahman gets modified into Chitya Ishvara, and that is not implied here because the Prakarana is teaching Dehatma Viveka. So the Avyakta and Vyakta are being made very clear by Deshika and the Tatparya Chandrika. So the Manusya and other Bhutas which are existing as Dravyas, their earlier state exists, but it is not seen. The same is the case with succeeding states, but the middle state is being seen or known. So this is also told in Mahabharata. Adarshanat ihayataha punascha adarshanam gataha nasau tavanatasya tvam prutha ki manushochasi. So Vidura is consoling Dhritarashtra in the end, after the death of Duryodhana and others and all other sons, that Adarshana yataha punascha adarshanam gataha. He was not seen, Adarshana is not seen, and he came here. Again he disappeared. Nasau tava natasya tvam vrutha kimanushochasi. He is not yours, you are not him, you are not his, and why should you have any grief and things. So it is a Viveka, Tattva Bodhana is made by Vidura to Dhritarashtra. In Mahabharata also the shloka is in similar lines. So Sveshu Swabhaveshu Vartante. Here Manushadini Bhutani Santi Eva Dravyani Anupalabdha Purvavasthani Upalabdha Manushyatwadi Madhyamavasthani Anupalabdha Uttaravasthani Sveshu Swabhaveshu Vartante. That is the state of Manushya, etc., which are seen of these Dravyas are not Swabhavas, that is, they are not the nature, because we see that they get destroyed, modified, etc. Even the earlier state which is not seen is also not Swabhava, because there is also the division of etc. are possible of knowing. So the Samanya Parinamitva is the Swabhava. That is, Sveshu Swabhaveshu Vartante means is made very clear here in the Tatparya Chandrika. Sveshu Swabhaveshu Vartante is Manushyatva. That itself is it the Swabhava? No, it is Samanya Parinamitva. That is the nature of undergoing change is the Swabhava. Meaning is that the Dravya which keeps getting modified, the unseen earlier state, seen middle state are not to be grieved. The same way the unseen posterior state is also not to be grieved. So the Avadharana Eva in Avyakta Nidhanan Eva means it is Avarjaniya. It cannot be avoided. Natatra paridevana nimittam asti. So Krishna is telling that if you think that the Swabhavatva, that is the nature of the object itself, is to be grieved. Deshika says here very nicely that Pratiniyata Vichitra Swabhava Ananta Vastu Santate Jagati Sarvasya Sarvada Dukha Jala Nidha Veva Majjanam Iti Nedanim Visheshataha Shoka Nimittam asti. He is telling the Swarupa of Prapancha here in Tatparya Chandrika wonderfully. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, Natatra Paridevana Nimittam asti means if the Swabhava of the nature of the object is to be grieved, is not the meaning here. In that case, Deshika says all the time everybody has to be having shoka only. Nature of the word is Pratiniyata Vichitra Swabhava Ananta Vastu Santate Jagati. Each one and each thing has its own unique and well-established nature. Pratiniyata Vichitra Swabhava. And it is such a wonderful, different nature. And Ananta Vastu Santate Jagati. Yes, an endless number of objects are here. There is no mix-up of each other. And then all the time, everywhere, all should have been immersed in the ocean of grief only. That had been always the Swabhava. That is not the special, there is no special reason for Shoka here. The various meanings of the Swabhava is told by Deshika in the Vyakhyana. Avyaktavastha is the Avyaktavastha is because Avyaktavastha is the Swabhava of the Deha. Then since Deha has left that Swabhava and got into Manushyatva, that itself is to be grieved then. So what is the meaning of that Swabhava is made very clear in the Bhashya by Deshika. That is Parinami Swabhava. That is it, undergoing change is the Swabhava. So Avyaktavastha itself is not, if suppose Arjuna thinks that not being seen itself is the Swabhava of the Deha, Avyaktavastha. Then he says not being seen, that state of the Deha which is Swabhava has gone and Manushyatva has come. Then you have to grieve that Manushyatva has come itself will cause grief to you. If you think that the Avyaktavastha was the Swabhava. Avyaktavastha itself is not the Swabhava. If you say Manushyatva itself is the Swabhava, then when this body goes, another Manushya Sharira only would come. So what is the scope for grief? Then also if you say that Manushyatva is the Swabhava, and because that, if it goes, the Swabhava goes, then I will have grief. Then one more Manushyatva will come. Then there is no scope for grief even then. If you say that it is Aupadika, the separation of the body which is giving all happiness will lead to Shoka only. Then enemies and Bhikshacharya, etc., which you are talking about, are all causes of Shoka. And not killing of enemies and getting kinship, etc., will lead to happiness. So he says that it is not Upadhi, separation of the body is giving. The body is giving all kinds of happiness. And if that body goes, will it not cause Shoka? Then he says, if you lose the battle, you will have to do bhikshacharya. Then because of the enemies who may kill you, etc. Then that should cause shoka. And if you kill your enemies, then you are well protecting yourself. Then you should hopefully have happiness because of that. So destruction of the body, which is an instrument of all kinds of enjoyment, happiness. If Krishna is arguing with Arjuna that Arjuna, if you think that destruction of the body is, which is giving all kinds of happiness and enjoyment. So if destruction of such a body, why should it not cause shoka? Then you are valiant and you should work towards protecting such a body. Why are you leaving this war? He says. So if you think that the body is a instrument for all enjoyments and I don't want it to get destroyed, then you should do everything to protect it, and you are not doing that. And if you are scared that lokapavada, which may come due to bandhu viyoga, etc., then you will get greater lokapavada by not protecting your own bandhus, which are there on your side. So that will lead to akiti also. I mean, all these different things are told in Tatparya Chandrika, that shoka is something which you cannot avoid, just like Shita, Ushna, etc. So this is coming on account of wrong thinking that the body is most enjoyable, and this shoka can be got rid of by not thinking so. So all these are implied in the phrase of the Bhashya that Deshika writes, that Krishna is asking Arjuna, Dehatma moha mahagraha grihitaha tvam. Mahagraha means one big crocodile. You are Dehatma moha, you are caught by a moha, crocodile which is of Dehatma moha, and you are lokayata samaya rahasya tattva vicharenapi nakinchidapi shoshitumarasi iti paridevana kim nimitta. You seem to be having Dehatma, Deha itself you are thinking Atma, you are caught by lokayata tattvas. Even then you should not have shoka, is the meaning here. So Swabhava is Parinam is Swabhava. We have to understand that Swabhava cannot be avoided, and Sveshu Swabhaveshu Vartante means that which is undergoing changes will keep undergoing changes, will get different states. That which does not undergo changes by nature will remain Ekarupa all the time. So on account of either of these, you should not. And even if you think that the body itself is the Atman, you should not grieve. Because by nature, if it is undergoing changes, there is no scope for shoka there. So these are all the things that are taught here, and with Satkaryavada, which is established in great detail by Bhashyakara in these shlokas. So that is the conclusion of the 28th shloka, and we have come to the end of the class today. So we shall take the next श्लोक आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवत् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवत् च एनम् अन्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वाप्येनं वेद न चैव कश्चित्. In the next class. Thank you very much, and I shall conclude the class and leave the class open for any questions. Thank you. So if there are no questions, we shall conclude the class. Thank you.